Libra, why did God put this person in your path right now? Have you ever wondered why this specific person appeared in your life at this particular moment, and not before, and not after? The answer you invented for yourself, that of destiny, of a sign, of something good that life brought, is only the part that Libra lets show. Beneath it lies a much more naked mechanism, much more uncomfortable to admit. Libra doesn't attract people by chance. Libra attracts exactly the person who knows, without knowing how, where their balance was lying. That peace you're so proud of maintaining, that harmony everyone praises in you, may never have truly been tested. And it was there, right in that blind spot, that this person entered, without asking permission, without warning of the magnitude of what they were about to stir up. In this video, I'm going to show you why God, or the universe, or whatever higher intelligence you want to name, chose this particular person, and chose them right now. I'm going to show you the invisible pattern that Libra has always carried, the hidden price of keeping everything so level, and the paradox that nobody told you. Sometimes, the most honest gift you receive comes disguised as the hardest discomfort to swallow. Stay until the end, because there's a question further on that will force you to look at this person, and especially at yourself, in a completely different way than you have ever looked at them before. There's a huge difference between being at peace and simply being comfortable in a peace that has never been tested. And Libra knows how to feign both in an almost identical way. You learned from a very young age to keep everything level, to not let the tide rise too high, smiling before the silence becomes awkward. This isn't weakness. This is sophisticated emotional engineering, built over years to avoid one thing: friction. But a scale that has never received any weight is not balanced. It's simply empty. And it was precisely there, in that blind spot, that this person entered. She didn't come to fill a comfortable void. She came unintentionally, without guilt, to press on the exact point where her peace had not yet been truly tested. You felt it, didn't you? That strange feeling that, while this person brought something good, they also brought a discomfort you couldn't name. A way of looking at you that exposed something. A way of acting that contrasted so much with yours that it unintentionally became a mirror. And for someone who has spent their life avoiding looking too closely at themselves, a mirror is never comfortable. Perhaps the real reason this person arrived right now isn't about them. Perhaps it never was. Perhaps the reason is about the exact moment when you, without realizing it, were already ready enough to handle what was about to be revealed. And here lies the first question this video wants to ask you, calmly, without any rush. What if what you call coincidence is, in reality, the universe waiting for you to become strong enough to finally look directly at what you've always avoided? And there's one more unsettling thing about all this. While you were calling this presence luck, a sign, a good thing life had given you, a part of you already felt it wasn't quite that simple. Because truly, good things don't usually hurt in your chest the way that hurt. Good things don't keep you awake replaying phrases, gestures, silences. What hurts, what stirs things up, what insists on returning to your head in the middle of the night, usually didn't come to comfort you. It came to show you something you'd been waiting for all this time, a courage you didn't even know you possessed. It might have been inside you. That question lingers, and it's okay for it too, because some answers only come when we stop running away from them. It was in seeking answers to these reflections that the digital book, The 12 Laws of the Universe, that helped the zodiac sign overcome spiritual envy, was born. More than just a simple read, it brings together teachings, interpretations, and exercises to help you understand patterns, develop a more conscious attitude, and cultivate a stronger mindset in the face of difficulties. For Libra, This isn't about acquiring more content to put on the shelf. It's about developing a new mental attitude, the ability to find real balance, a balance that doesn't depend on pleasing everyone around you, that isn't lost trying to maintain the harmony of others at the expense of your own. This is something any Libra recognizes in their body before understanding it with their head. You're still processing what you just heard, still recognizing, perhaps even uneasy, something within yourself that you'd rather not have seen so clearly. It's precisely in this raw, open state that it makes sense to act now, not later, when the discomfort has already been buried under routine again. The link is in the first pinned comment. Availability is limited. Click now and download your copy. Now I want to ask you something, and I'd really like you to answer honestly in the comments. Who was the person who, even while causing discomfort, showed you something you couldn't see on your own? Let's go back to the day that person appeared. Not the day in general, but that specific detail you still remember today. The place, the phrase, the way they looked at you even before you really knew each other. You called that a coincidence. But notice something. For Libra, coincidence is almost always the word we use when we don't want to investigate the real reason behind an encounter. Imagine a messy shelf, the kind where you keep piling things on top of each other without stopping to organize. One day, an object falls. It seems like chance, but in reality, it had been poorly supported for weeks, just waiting for the right push to finally fall. That's how this person entered your life. It wasn't chance that brought them. It was something within you that had been poorly supported for a long time, about to collapse anyway. If it wasn't a coincidence, then what exactly did this presence reveal about you? And it's not the first time Libra has done this. You have an almost artistic talent for giving fancy names to things you still don't quite understand. You call what might be a consequence luck. You call what might be a repeating pattern destiny. And look, these words aren't lies, but they function, without you realizing it, like a curtain. A curtain that prevents you from seeing the real mechanism behind the encounter. Because deep down, a part of you knows that none of this was so spontaneous. You recognize something in that person even before you could explain what it was. And recognition, this specific, almost physical kind of recognition, usually doesn't come by chance. It comes from a calling that your own life had been silently making for some time. There's a huge difference between being balanced and simply being stagnant. And Libra, a master at keeping things level, often confuses the two. Over the years, you build a sense of peace that seems solid, tested, earned. But is it really? Imagine a jewelry scale, one of those really sensitive ones, reading a perfect zero. Beautiful to see, right? Except it's zeroed not because someone found the exact point of balance between two real weights. It's zeroed because no weight has ever been placed there. It's easy to appear balanced when nothing has ever been put to the test. And that's exactly what happened to you for years. A shop show piece, beautiful, elegant, but never tested by anything that truly mattered. Until someone came along and decided, without warning, to put some weight there. What do you think happens to a scale that has never felt any weight when it finally feels the first one? And there's a curious detail about this. A truly balanced scale isn't one that never wobbles. It's one that, even when receiving weight on one side, manages to reorganize itself and find a point of stability again. The problem was never the weight itself. The problem is that you had never experienced receiving any weight, so anything that came with force seemed synonymous with a threat, not growth. You learned far too early that keeping everything level was synonymous with safety. No one taught you that there's a difference between leveling and avoiding. And it was precisely there, in that blind spot between true safety and avoidance disguised as peace, that this person found room to enter. The answer to the previous question is simple and unsettling at the same time. It cracks, not because it was weak, but because it had never been properly used. And that's exactly the kind of crack that this person caused in you. It didn't bring comfort, it brought friction. Do you know what it's like to walk around all day with a pebble in your shoe? At first you try to ignore it. Then you unconsciously change the way you walk, just to relieve the discomfort. And it's exactly this kind of forced, annoying, irritating adjustment that makes you realize you were walking wrong all along, but in a way that was comfortable enough for you to never notice. That person was that stone. And here lies an even deeper unease. Why would the universe or God choose friction and not comfort as a tool for caring for you? And the worst, or perhaps the best part, is that this friction doesn't come with an instruction manual. Nobody hands you a warning saying, this person is going to bother you exactly where you avoid them most. You only discover this by feeling it, stumbling, truly being bothered, without being able to go back to your usual autopilot mode. Perhaps because comfort never truly changed anyone. Comfort confirms, friction reveals. And what this person revealed, without even imagining the magnitude of what they were doing, was a mirror you hadn't asked to see. Have you ever been in one of those store fitting rooms with that unfiltered bright white light that reveals every detail that home lighting politely hides? It's uncomfortable. Nobody likes that light. But it's the only one that shows reality without embellishment. That's how that person looked at you, and worse, that's how they made you look at yourself. In the reflection, you saw the pattern of always giving in a little before it was necessary, of agreeing before truly disagreeing, of keeping everything pleasant even when something inside screamed disagreement. And the uncomfortable, honest question that remains is this: what exactly did you see in that mirror that you've spent your whole life avoiding seeing? And it's curious how we often idealize the person who will come to reveal something important. We imagine a wise, calm, almost professorial figure. But in practice, the person who reveals it is usually someone completely ordinary, with their own flaws, with no intention whatsoever of teaching you anything. The revelation doesn't come from what that person said on purpose. It comes from who they simply were, effortlessly, in front of you. This mirror that just appeared before you, this pattern of giving in before it's necessary, isn't weakness. It's a mechanism that can be understood and reorganized. That's exactly what the digital book, The 12 Laws of the Universe That Help the Zodiac Sign Overcome Spiritual Envy, is about. It provides practical exercises for Libra to recognize the exact moment when they trade their own truth for a superficial harmony, and to begin to consciously choose when it's worthwhile to give in and when it's worthwhile to maintain their own space. The link is in the first pinned comment. Access is limited. Click now and start looking at yourself in that mirror with new eyes. There's a price no one shows you when you repeatedly choose harmony over truth. And that price doesn't disappear just because you don't talk about it. It accumulates quietly in some corner you'd rather not visit. Imagine a pressure cooker without a valve. On the outside, everything is calm, no noise, no warning signs. But inside, the pressure rises without stopping because there's no programmed outlet for it to escape gradually. That's basically what Libra does with anger, desire, and its own opinion. It swallows it, holds onto it, and smiles about it. Decades doing this and calling it peace. And then, when someone or some situation finally hits the right spot, everything that's been bottled up wants to come out all at once, unfiltered, without elegance, without that control you value so much. The question that remains is this: what exactly is accumulating inside you at this very moment, and what will happen when it simply can't hold anymore? And there's a specific trap in this pattern. The more Libra is praised for being calm, gentle, and easy to get along with, the more it reinforces the idea that swallowing is the only acceptable way to love. Nobody praises the escape valve. Everyone praises the silent pan. But silence sustained for too long becomes its own language of suffering, one that nobody around can translate because on the outside everything continues to seem calm. This accumulated pressure has a name, and it also has a way back. The digital book, The 12 Laws of the Universe That Help the Zodiac Sign Overcome Spiritual Envy, dedicates a good part of its teachings to showing Libra how to gradually recognize the signs of this pressure before it turns into an explosion or silent collapse, and how to transform everything that has been swallowed into clarity instead of resentment. The link is in the first pinned comment. The number of available accesses is limited. Click now and start consciously letting go of what you've been carrying. Now, let's get to the question that is perhaps the most uncomfortable of all. Why now? Why didn't this person appear 5 years ago when it might have been easier, or 5 years from now when you might have been more prepared? A wound, no matter how old, only begins to truly hurt when the body is strong enough to care for it. Before that, it remains there, numb, ignored, hidden behind routine. The body knows how to wait. It doesn't reopen a pain that can't yet be treated. Perhaps that's exactly what happened to you. Maybe that person didn't arrive at a random moment, but at the only moment when you, without realizing it, had already gathered enough strength to endure what was about to be revealed. And if that's indeed the case, an even deeper question remains. Could it be that, in some way you can't even imagine, you were unknowingly asking for exactly this? There's an almost biological logic to it. The body doesn't reopen an old wound until the immune system is prepared to deal with it. Similarly, the mind doesn't usually confront an old emotional pattern until it has developed, somewhere, the minimum tools to support what will be discovered. None of this is accidental. It's a pronunciation disguised as coincidence. And here we arrive at the most beautiful and hardest to swallow paradox of this whole story. The most annoying person who has ever passed through your life may have been, at the same time, the most honest gift you have ever received. Imagine a construction site. While the building is being erected, there's scaffolding covering everything, hiding every imperfection, every still fragile structure behind an organized facade. When that scaffolding is removed, it's unsettling to see everything exposed, raw, undisguised. But it's only then, with the scaffolding gone, that someone can see what truly supports that construction and what needs to be reinforced. This person was like scaffolding being removed. Without asking permission, they exposed the parts of their emotional structure that still depended on appearances to stay standing. And if this is true, what changes from now on in how you choose to look at this person, and especially at yourself? And perhaps that's why, looking back now with a little more distance, you can feel something different for that person. Not necessarily gratitude in the superficial sense of the word, but a more adult, more mature kind of recognition. The recognition that not every gift comes wrapped the way we expect. Removing the scaffolding is uncomfortable, but it's also the only way to discover where you are truly solid. The digital book, The 12 Laws of the Universe That Help the Zodiac Sign Overcome Spiritual Envy, was designed to help you precisely in this step, to see your inner structure without appearance, without facade, and from there build an emotional foundation that no longer depends on pleasing anyone to stay standing. The link is in the first pinned comment. Access is limited for now. Click now and start strengthening what truly sustains you. And that's how we get to the point where the question changes form. You started this video asking why God put this person in your path right now. And perhaps after all this, that's no longer the right question. The new question, the one that really matters, is another. What in me did this come to balance? It's not about understanding why it appeared. It's about understanding what in you was out of balance, hidden behind a shop store piece, waiting to finally be put to the test. A good scale isn't one that stays at zero because it's never received any weight. It's one that learns over time to adjust itself, to receive weight on one side and find, on its own, a new point of equilibrium, more realistic, more tested, more its own. And perhaps that's the true function of this person in your story, not to stay forever, not to solve everything, not to be the happy ending, but to provoke, at the right moment, the kind of weight that forces you to discover what your true balance is, the one that resists even when someone presses you hard at your most sensitive point. Perhaps that person never knew the magnitude of what they were causing you. Perhaps you didn't even know it yourself until that moment. But there's a silent beauty in all of this. Libra, no matter how much they spend their lives seeking harmony outside themselves, carries within them the rare ability to transform even the most difficult discomfort into a more honest form of balance. Not that showy, pretty balance, but the other kind, the one that is built slowly after feeling the weight of the truth. And it is this one, only this one, that remains. And if one day you cross paths with that person again, or just remember them in one of those quiet early mornings, perhaps the feeling will no longer be one of confusion. Perhaps it will just be a quiet recognition. Thank you for being the weight that was missing.